Okay, let's just jump right into it. It is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. And honestly, if you're an NBA fan right now, your head is probably spinning.
It's a lot. We're seeing a league that is at the exact same time having these incredible highs and just devastating lows.
It's whiplash. We're celebrating this like historic changing of the guard with the All-Star news, and then we're also mourning what could be the end of a contender's window because of one bad step.
It really is a best of times, worst of times scenario. You have all this excitement. The new generation is here. They're taking over. And then, boom, a few hours later, you get this brutal reminder of how fragile a championship window really is.
Exactly. One bad landing, and the whole 5-year plan just goes up in smoke. So we've got a lot to sift through today. Here's the plan for this deep dive. We've got 3 huge stories that are really defining the season. First, the Golden State Warriors. They were looking amazing, maybe the best they've looked since the 22 title run.
They were clicking.
But a really scary knee injury to Jimmy Butler has just sucked all the air out of that room. We need to figure out if their title hopes are, gone.
And we have to talk about the money there because that injury, it makes everything so much more complicated. It's not just about who's on the court.
Exactly. Then we'll pivot over to New York. And if the vibes are bad in Golden State, they're basically non-existent in Madison Square Garden.
Oof, yeah.
The Knicks hit what everyone is calling rock bottom in this just embarrassing loss to the Mavericks.
Yeah.
You got to talk about whether the Nova Knicks experiment is officially a failure.
It's looking pretty grim. I mean, getting booed off your own floor is one thing. The way it happened, though, that's what we need to break down.
And then finally, some lighter stuff, but maybe the most historic. The 2026 All-Star starters are out. And for the first time in over 2 decades, a certain king from Akron is not on that list.
Huge, huge change.
So our mission today is to sort through all this noise, the knee injuries, the locker room drama, the fan votes, and figure out who's a real contender and who's just pretending.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right, let's start in San Francisco. And I think the context here is super important because if you just looked at the box score from that Warriors Heat game, you'd think, wow, the Warriors are back.
Totally. 135 to 112. They're 6-1 on the homestand. They dismantled Miami.
They weren't just winning. They were dominating. The offense was just humming. The ball was moving. It looked like that old Warriors flow.
Yeah, they finally seemed to be integrating Butler, and they looked like they were locking themselves in as, a top 4 seed, not just a play-in team.
But then, the incident.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler goes down. And look, we've seen Jimmy go down 100 times. He usually just grimaces, ties his shoe, and drops 30.
This was different.
This was different. He was holding his knee. You could see the pain, and the whole arena just went silent.
Yeah, the visuals were not good. And we should say we're recording this before the official MRI results, but we have to be realistic. The fear, just based on how it happened, is an ACL or an MCL tear.
And those are 2 totally different universes.
Yeah. Completely different. If it's an MCL sprain, okay, maybe he's back in 4-6 weeks. You can survive that. You can tread water.
Right.
But if it's an ACL tear, he's done for the season. And at his age, probably a big chunk of next season, too. And that changes the Warriors from a legit title threat to, well, a team in purgatory.
It's just devastating.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the doom and gloom, I have to share this one detail because it is so perfectly Jimmy Butler.
Of course.
Even while he's on the floor, in agony, with a potentially career-altering injury.
Yeah.
The guy's talking trash.
He wouldn't be Jimmy otherwise. He just wouldn't.
Apparently, Buddy Hield tried to say something to him, maybe checking on him, maybe chirping a little bit.
Knowing Buddy. Yeah.
And Jimmy, while laughing through the pain, just tells him to shut your ass up.
That is pure, uncut Jimmy. But here's the problem. Once the adrenaline wears off, the Golden State front office has a massive headache. You mentioned the money earlier. Why is this so much worse than just losing a player?
Yeah, this is where it gets kind of technical, but it's crucial. He's on the books for about $58 million next year.
$58 million? For a 36-year-old coming off a major knee surgery.
Exactly. So that whole blow-it-up idea you see on social media, it's basically impossible. If he has a torn ACL, you can't trade him. No team is taking on that contract for a guy who won't play for a year.
Not unless you attach a ton of picks to it. And the Warriors don't have a ton of picks to give away.
And with the new CBA, the second apron rules, they're just handcuffed. They can't stack salaries to bring in a replacement. So if Butler's out, that $58 million is just dead weight on the cap.
So you think they're just stuck?
I think they're trapped. The consensus I'm reading from the cap experts is that if he's out for the year, you do not go chasing upgrades. You don't trade a first-round pick for, a Michael Porter Jr. or someone like that.
But why not? You've got Steph Curry. Don't you owe it to him to try and win now?
That's the emotional argument, for sure. But the logical one is, does Michael Porter Jr. make you a champion without Jimmy Butler?
No. Probably a second-round exit at best.
Right, so you'd be burning your last assets, the future of the franchise, for a move that doesn't get you a ring. You almost have to just hold tight, which is brutal for Steph at 38.
But here's the twist. Does this injury, in a weird way, actually solve another problem for them?
You're talking about the Jonathan Kuminga situation.
Yeah, exactly. That whole thing has been strange all year. The reporting has been that Kuminga just did not fit with Butler. And if you watch them play, you can see it.
They're both slashers.
They both want to operate in the same space, that mid-range to the rim area. When Butler drives, Kuminga's defender is just clogging the paint. The spacing was always clunky.
So in a cold basketball math kind of way, this actually fixes the rotation.
It might. If Butler's out, suddenly Kuminga has a clear runway to attack the rim without bumping into Jimmy all the time. The lane is open for him again.
So does he just slide back in and become the number 2 option again?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? The relationship with Steve Kerr has seemed strained. We've seen the benchings, the body language. But from a pure basketball standpoint, they need his rim pressure now more than ever.
It's just so ironic that the injury that could kill their title hopes is the only thing that opens the door for Kuminga to really play his game.
And we can't ignore the young guys who stepped up in that Heat game. I mean, Brandon Podziemski had 24 points off the bench.
Podziemski was fantastic. He was creating his own shot, step-back threes. He looked like a real building block for the future. And Quentin Post.
The big man, hitting 4 of 5 from 3.
Yeah. If he could do that, even on low volume, and just rebound enough to stay on the court, that changes the entire geometry for them.
They have pieces, no doubt. But without Jimmy, that ceiling is just undeniably lower.
It's a mess. A fascinating mess. Speaking of messes, let's fly over to New York. Because if the Warriors are dealing with a tragedy, the Knicks are dealing with a farce.
Rock bottom. That's the phrase everyone is using this morning after their MLK Day game against Dallas.
It was a complete disaster. They lost 114-97 at home. But even that score makes it look better than it was. They were down by 28 points at halftime.
28
at home. And the context here is what makes it so bad. The Knicks were the healthiest they've been all season. Meanwhile, the Mavericks injury report looked like a grocery list.
It was like a CVS receipt. No Luka for long stretches, no Kyrie. This was a game the Knicks should have won by 15, easily.
Instead, they get crushed. And the stat that just blew my mind, the one that explains why they got booed off their own court,
The fast break points.
was staggering.
In the first half, Dallas, this depleted team, had 27 fast break points. The Knicks had 2. That's not about skill. That's not about shooting. That is purely about effort. That's about tearing enough to run back on defense.
And the players obviously know it because Jalen Brunson did something you almost never see. He called a players-only meeting.
Not after the game.
No. During a timeout in the second quarter.
That is just, it's unheard of. It screams desperation. It's like trying to have a board meeting while a building is on fire. It's too late.
And it didn't even work. They were down by 30 a few minutes later. Josh Hart called it embarrassing after the game. Said they needed to do some soul-searching.
But soul-searching doesn't fix a broken roster construction. At some point, you have to look at the pieces.
So who do you blame? I'm looking at the box score, and Mikal Bridges he was a ghost.
A total no-show. 7 points. And it's the passivity that's so concerning. They gave up 5 first-round picks for this guy to be their ultimate two-way wing.
And he's taking mid-range fadeaways. He had 0 free throw attempts. He looks terrified to attack the basket.
I think we just have to accept that Bridges might be an elite role player, but he's not a star. And when you pay a star price for a role player, it just cripples your team.
And then there's Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
The numbers look fine. 22 points, 18 rebounds. But did it feel like a good 22 and 18?
Not at all. Those were the emptiest of empty calories. 5 fouls, 5 turnovers. He was totally out of control. And he got sucked into this weird personal battle with Dwight Powell.
Oh, the nutshot saga.
It was ridiculous. They were hitting each other. KAT got hit. Then he retaliated. He was more focused on that wrestling match than the basketball game. It's just a lack of discipline from one of your leaders.
And all the while, the Mavericks are just laughing. Max Christie comes out of nowhere.
The Knicks left him open, and he made them pay. 26 points. He was 8 for 10 from 3. He looked like Klay Thompson out there.
And the rookie, Cooper Flagg.
The rookie returns from injury and posts a plus 21 in a game they won by 17. That is huge. He had 18 points, and his defense on OG Anunoby was incredible. He looked like the veteran out there.
You know, Tracy McGrady was on the broadcast at halftime, and he said something that really stuck out. He said the Knicks looked like they had a grudge against each other.
Oof, that's a strong word.
That they weren't playing for one another.
And that's a damning thing to hear from a guy who knows what a bad locker room looks like. When you see guys not helping on defense, not rotating, it points to a culture problem. And for a Tom Thibodeau team whose entire brand is effort, it's a massive red flag.
It feels like the honeymoon for the Nova Knicks is officially over.
Oh, it's over. If you can't get up for a game at MSG against a depleted team, when can you?
Exactly. Okay, let's pivot to something a little more fun, though it has its own controversy. The 2026 All-Star starters are revealed. And the headline, LeBron James is not a starter.
End of an era. 22 straight years. We knew it would happen eventually, but actually seeing it on paper is still a shock.
It really is. The list just screams, the future is now. Let's run through the East. Giannis led the voting, no surprise there. But then you have Jalen Brunson getting his third selection.
Which is pretty interesting given what we just talked about with the Knicks.
Right. Is that just fan loyalty?
I think you have to give him credit. Despite the team's struggles, his individual play, especially early in the season, was just brilliant. He's the first Knick to start back-to-back All-Star games since Melo. That's a big deal. He hasn't been the problem.
And then the new blood, Cade Cunningham.
Cade has arrived. For real this time, representing the Pistons. After years of questions, he's playing big boy basketball, he's controlling games, he looks like the guy they drafted him to be.
And Tyrese Maxey.
Love this one. With Embiid out again, Maxey just grabbed the reins of that team and never looked back. A well-deserved first-time starter, he kept them afloat.
Rounding out the East, Jalen Brown.
He's been the MVP of the Celtics for the first half of this season, another first-time starter, which is kind of wild to think about, but he's absolutely earned it.
Okay, let's head west. The heavy hitters. Nikola Jokic, obviously.
Mr. Triple-Double. Best player in the world, easy choice.
And Luka Doncic. The stats on him are just wild. The Mavs are basically a G League team when he's off the court.
Yeah, he is the entire system. He had to be a starter. He's one of the faces of the league now.
Speaking of faces, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
The MVP contender. He's just unstoppable. The consistency is almost frightening at this point.
And Steph Curry, the old guard, hanging on.
At 38 years old, still doing it. He's the bridge. He's basically the last man standing from that LeBron KD era in this starting lineup. It's incredible.
But the last spot, this is where the internet exploded.
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama.
This is where it gets really fun. So there is a statistical tie for this spot between Wemby and Anthony Edwards. A dead heat.
And the tiebreaker is the fan vote.
The tiebreaker is the fan vote. And the fans?
The fans want the alien.
They want the alien. Look, Ant has been amazing from Minnesota. He deserves to be an all-star. But Wemby, even with missing games, his impact is just, it's historical. The stuff he does, we've never seen it before.
It feels symbolic, right? Picking the alien over the traditional star.
Totally. It's the official announcement that the new era is here. You've got Wemby, you've got Cade, you've got Maxey. The torch hasn't just been passed, it's been snatched. We are watching the league pivot in real time.
It is incredible to see. So pulling this all together then, the Butler injury, the Knicks collapse, the Wemby rise, what does it all mean?
I think we're in this moment of extreme transition. You see the fragility with the Warriors, how one injury can end a dynasty's last hope. And with the Knicks, you see that talent without chemistry is, well, it's nothing. You can't just buy a culture.
It's a cautionary tale.
And then you have this all-star list, which shows us the league is in great hands. The talent pool with guys like Wemby and Cooper Flagg and Max Christie, it's deeper than ever.
It's a great reminder to appreciate the greats like Steph while they're still here, but get really excited for what's coming next because the league moves so fast.
Life comes at you fast in the NBA.
That it does.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for our deep dive today. We'll be keeping a very close eye on those MRI results for Jimmy Butler. And we'll see if the Knicks can pull themselves out of this hole.
It's going to be a wild week.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Spotify, please leave 5-star review. It'll help the channel grow. Until next time, please check our previous episodes.